All right, moving on to Japan. Naoya Inoue defends his undisputed titles by defeating TJ Doheny in the 7th round, and now improving to 28-0, 25 knockouts. This fight was actually a little bit better than I was expecting, because the comments that I was reading, they were saying that this is going to be like a tune-up fight, but Inoue fight a little bit cautious in the beginning. Do you think that kind of played a role in his last outing against Neri, because he did get dropped for the first time?
He did get dropped early, so it could be where he was a little more cautious. I think when a fighter gets dropped for the first time or early in the fight, that teaches them a lesson. You know, they learn, because a lot of times they're too confident. They're thinking, "Oh, I've knocked out 7 in a row. This is another one that I'm going to knock out without a problem." So they go in there a little confident, a little careless. Maybe they don't warm up as well, and got that knockdown, got knocked down, and woke them up. That could be the case. I think this was just one of those, just to stay busy fight. They're in Japan, Tokyo. He's a superstar. It doesn't matter who he fights. I guarantee you, 99% of the people in the arena had never seen his opponent fight before, had never heard his name before. Man, I'm in boxing. I had never heard his name before. You know what I mean? So I'm saying 99% because the 1% was probably the corner, Inoue's corner, that probably watched a few videos to study a little bit of what their opponent was bringing, because the rest of the people in the arena had no idea who the opponent was, had never seen him before. But it was just a stay busy fight, not talking shit. You know, every fighter deserves to, they don't need it. Not everybody needs it, because in reality, he could have fought a bigger name and he probably would still knocked him out. But it was just one of those stay busy fights where you don't have to pay him that much. You're fighting in Tokyo, where you're gonna sell out the arena, and you're demanding a certain amount of money, and the promoter knows that the arena is gonna get filled up. They know they're gonna make the money from the arena, from TV, because TV also pays for the fights. They know they're gonna make the money, and if all the money goes to the star, to Inoue, then the opponent can be a big name, because the big name is gonna want a couple $1 million. So then that means Inoue has to take a big cut, or they're gonna have to promote a bigger fight, pay-per-view, maybe to have them both, make them happy with their purses. But in this case, the budget wasn't there, so the whole budget goes to Inoue, and then they find an opponent that's not going to cost them that much. I'm pretty sure that was one of the stay busy fights where the opponent didn't cost them that much, and Inoue keeps the most of the purse, and gets a quick win, moves on, and goes out there for bigger fights. I think at 122, there's still a few fights there that I would like to see with Inoue. But I would want to see him at featherweight. There's some fights at featherweight that there's some names. There's not fights where I think they're gonna give them. They're gonna be very competitive, because there might be only one that I could say is gonna be competitive against Divino. I think Divino is the only one that might even beat.
He's so tall.
Exactly, and he's strong, and he's since he became a champion, he's looking better and better since he became a champion. So I think Divino is the only one that could have a chance of beating him. I think.
You don't think Angelo Leo?
No. Angelo Leo is a great fighter, a great win. But no, I think all the guys at featherweight are waiting for Inoue. Venado was doing the same thing, thinking Angelo Leo was going to be a comfortable win for him, because they're all waiting for Inoue to move up in weight. Angelo Leo is going to try, Angelo Leo might not fight until Inoue moves up in weight, if they choose him. But they want the big fight, because it's a big payday. I think the only one at featherweight that has a chance, and I would say it's a very close fight, is Divino. Yeah, against Inoue.
That would be a really great fight.
That would be a badass fight. I would love to see that fight. I think Divino is the guy right now at featherweight. He's the guy that I don't think anybody beats him at featherweight right now. So that would be a huge fight. So all the featherweights right now, they're hoping that Inoue vacates and moves up because they all want to get that opportunity.
Inoue's been dominating each division that he's been at, from light flyweight all the way to super bantamweight. How many more divisions? Obviously, we're talking about featherweight right now, but besides that, how many more divisions do you think he'll dominate in a fashionable manner before the power starts to catch up to him?
Well,
or do you think he'll carry the power?
I think he's already a 4-division champion, and going to featherweight, I think he still has a lot at featherweight. Like I said, the only one that I think could put up a good fight and I give a chance is Divino. So that means there's 3 other champions that I personally think Inoue beats. So he could be champion at featherweight, and I think if the right champion at 130 is also there, I'd say he could be champion at 130 too. He could be a 6-division champion. But when it comes to 130, which it'll probably be a couple years from now, it'll have to be against the right champion where maybe it's the least risky one, because it's a total different division. The guys are bigger, stronger, even though I could say he's probably at 130 right now. He could probably beat a couple of the champions. So I think he could go up to 130. I think that's probably the max, I would probably say.
Really?
130.
You fought at 126 and 130, right?
130, yeah.
How was that transition for you? Like,
you know what? It wasn't a big difference, because when I was fighting at 126, I got the opportunity to fight for the vacant NABF against Julian Whittaker.
ジュリアン・ウィーラーとは1993年から2002年にかけてスーパーフェザー級からウェルター級で活動していたアメリカ出身のプロボクサーです。NABF は北米ボクシング連盟ノースアメリカンボクシングフェデレーションの略称で、1969年に設立されたアメリカ、カナダ、メキシコを中心に活動している北米のプロボクシング統括団体です。
At 130, and I moved up and I won, and it was no big deal, no difference. Then I became champion at 130. So Rudy Hernandez always tells me, you should have stayed at 126 because you would have been a 2-division champion, because Rudy really believed that I could have been champion at featherweight. But when I got that opportunity, to fight Julian Whittaker for the NABF title, at that time in the 90s, everybody still respected and looked forward to becoming North American champion, because that's like a national title, North America, that puts you in the rankings. So I got that opportunity and jumped at it right away, because I knew I could win, and I won. And that put me up there in the rankings, and a few fights later I became champion.
ロバート・ガルシアは NABF のタイトルを獲得し、その後9戦目でハロルド・ウォーレンと IBF 世界スーパーフェザー級の空位のタイトルをかけて戦い、タイトルを手にしました。
So that was then. Right now, like, honestly, it sucks to say, but the national champion in Mexico, nobody knows who they are. Nobody cares who they are. The rankings don't even mean anything anymore. Here in the States, there's so many different belts, so many different champions, that there's probably a couple national champions in each weight division. So it's different now. Back then, it was more important to be national champion. Mexican national champions back then in the 80s and early 90s, it was a big deal. Right now, like, nobody really cares. So it's a big difference from, you're asking me, from me, my transition from featherweight to 130. It's just different now. It's different the way it is now. But I was a featherweight. Inoue was a flyweight.
Yeah.
So it's a big difference, because Inoue was a flyweight.
Light flyweight.
Okay, so exactly. If it was a light flyweight, so going to from 122 to 126, it's going to be a pretty good jump for him, because he was a flyweight, light flyweight, like you're saying, and then to 130, then it's not going to be, it's a little more challenging for him, for him to do it, because he's been coming up from from a lower weight classes. So won't be easy, but I think he's got the talent, he's got the power, he's got the skills to to be champion of those two divisions.
It's not impossible.
Exactly. I think he does have he could be champion of those two divisions.
Bob Arum had confirmed that he's going to have one more fight in Japan in December, and then he's going to start his 2025 campaign here in the US. What fight do you think will draw the most attention out here?
I don't know if I'm wrong. Maybe I read wrong, or maybe just one of those fake accounts. I read that he's fighting in December here in the States.
In the States?
That's what I read, that Bob Arum said, and that he's looking to maybe do the fight. I don't know if it's going to be in December, but maybe in the future against Nakatani.
So
that would be a better.
My understanding, it was that he was going to fight in Japan in December, and then they're going to have a fight in Vegas, and Nakatani's going to be in the undercard, so then they can make a future fight with them I think in Japan.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say, because
yeah,
those two fighters are superstars in Japan. Why would they do the fight here in the States? Even though it would be big, I would love to be there. I would love to be there, especially if it's a top ranked card. Maybe I'm gonna have some of my guys on that card.
Yeah,
so I would love to be there. But yeah, that fight only makes sense in Japan.
Let's go to Tokyo.
I think I'll probably go to that one, man, because that would be a badass fight. Plus, Tokyo is beautiful. I know Rudy wants that fight. Rudy trains Nakatani. And I know Rudy wants to fight, and I know Rudy's very smart, man. Rudy's a very smart trainer. I know he knows that his fighter could actually do it. You know, it would be a nice fight. I would like to see that fight. I think it's a fight that's gonna have the boxing world waiting for it.
The question: what fight in the beginning of early next year do you think will draw the most attention? Because they're saying that it's going to be in Vegas. You think maybe MJ, or
if it's in Vegas, it has to be against somebody that's already has a name. MJ is one that I would like to see, because I've heard from so many people, and some of my guys that have even sparred MJ, they've told me that that kid is so fucking strong. They've told me that kid's incredibly strong. So I would like to see that fight, and you know, and I know here with Joel Antonio Diaz, they want it too.
ジョエル・アントニオ・ディアスは元プロボクサーであり、現在はボクシングトレーナーとして活動しています。彼はティモシー・ブラッドリー、オタベク・ホルマトフ、イスラエル・マドリモフ、そしてムロジョン・アフマダリエフなどの選手を指導してきた優れたトレーナーで、現在もホルマトフ、マドリモフ、アフマダリエフの指導に当たっています。
They've talked to them, and they've thought they had the fight before, I think, 14.
Wasn't he his mandatory?
I think he was supposed to get that fight. And something happened. But I would like to see that. I would like to see that fight, because from what, like I'm telling you, I've heard that kid is fucking strong. So it'll probably be a good challenge for Inoue. That's probably going to be the better one to do, maybe here in December. Hopefully they do. December in Vegas. That would be nice.
Well, that'll be like May or April, I think.
Okay. So in December, it's just gonna be another one in Tokyo. Okay. Another one that they could probably do, which would make a lot of sense in Vegas against the Mexican. Maybe by then Picasso's in that position to challenge him, because Picasso has made a name for himself, and you know, we were talking about him earlier, that I would like Arturo.
アルトゥーロとはアルトゥーロ・ポポカまたはアルトゥーロ・カルデナスという選手で、彼はロバート・ガルシアが手掛けるメキシコ出身のスーパーバンタム級の選手です。現在15勝、8KO、無敗1分けの戦績を持ち、メキシコのランキングでは7位、スーパーバンタム級全体の世界ランキングでは31位に位置しています。ピカソ、デビッド・ピカソも同様にメキシコ出身のスーパーバンタム級の選手で、29勝、16KO、無敗1分けの戦績を持ち、メキシコのランキングでは1位、世界ランキングでは4位です。また、WBC のランキングでは1位に位置し、指名挑戦者の地位にいるため、将来的に井上尚弥選手と対戦する可能性があります。ピカソ選手に関しては、私のチャンネルで何回か取り上げたことがあり、概要欄にリンクを貼ってありますので、よければ見てみてください。
But, you know, I'm also being reasonable. Picasso is in a level where if he gets that call to fight Inoue,
he's gonna take
hell yeah, he's gonna wait and maybe fight one time, just to stay busy fight, and then get the big fight, because Mexico
They'll support.
Mexico supports, especially if they know they're going against Inoue. And Picasso's made a lot of name for himself. Picasso's very well known, and people love him in Mexico. So Picasso would probably be the bigger fight in Vegas sometime next year.
Now, when you were talking about MJ, this is kind of like piggybacking on it, but it kind of, when Inoue won this fight, it kind of seemed like he wasn't happy of the way he won. Do you think MJ will be someone that can bring the best out of him?
I think those type of fights are, I think Inoue wasn't happy, not just because of the way the fight ended. I think he was just not happy because of just the guy that was in front of him. I think for him, it was more of a just a stay busy fight, promoter, manager, convinced him, hey, let's take this fight. But he wasn't happy because he wants to fight the best. He wants to fight guys that are known in the world, that are going to bring him challenge, not somebody that is ranked number 14, and somebody that nobody has ever heard of. Somebody that they bring that, from a country where honestly I had never heard of the guy.
Yeah.
So I think I don't think he wasn't happy with his performance or the way the fight ended. I think he was just not happy at all that fight happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think fighting MJ would motivate him big time. More. I think fighting against the Mexican, like Picasso would also be big for him. Those are the fights that would.
Or Nakatani.
Nakatani would be freaking awesome, man. Like, man, imagine if it was here in the States, and
that would be crazy. I hope it's here.
Oh,
it won't be. I doubt that.
Oh, man,
maybe I don't know. Anything's
nice.
possible.
If it was, that would be really nice.
In the ESPN broadcast, one of the narrators was saying that there's pound for pound fighters and then there's generational fighters, and that Naoya Inoue is both. What separates a pound for pound fighter versus a generational fighter?
I think right now he's still, look, he's already, the thing is that he's from the smaller weight classes. So we started hearing about Inoue pretty much until like when he was at 118, when he became undisputed, he was, boxing, the boxing world already knew about him, but he wasn't that big name, big star until he started dominating so good at 118 and now at 122. So I think he's still, pound for pound, still has a couple more fights against solid names to become that star, not just pound for pound, but just a worldwide star. I think he still has a couple more fights, a few more performances to get there, because he had a great win against Fulton, great win against Panterita Neri, undisputed at 118. But a lot of those fights at 118, the only one I could probably name is Nonito Donaire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. There still hasn't been those big fights, those big names, mega fights. So, but I think he's on his way. I think 2-3 fights from now, he's a superstar worldwide, like Pacquiao became when he came to the States. Like, Prince Asim Hamed became when he came to the States. I think he's 2 fights from there, especially if he fights somebody like the Mexican Picasso, or beats somebody like MJ, but then he goes to featherweight and beats Divino. That'll be where, man, this guy is
unstoppable.
another Pacquiao.
Yeah. All right. Well, those were all of my questions. Do you want to touch up on any of the fights that happened this weekend, or any of the fighters that you have coming up?
Well, we have our next